Hi, I'm Martin. I'm a neuroscientist who did his PhD on the topic of stress and emotion. I'm the founder of mysurvivalstory.org and a mental coach at PNX. Today, I'm going to show you how you can give your brain a break and why it is so important in a moment of a crisis like now. So the first thing you have to understand is that our brain or our mind really loves stories. So that's the first thing. So the story we build up in our mind is first of all fictional, but then the mind has also a tendency to the negative stories, or we can even say a bit more dramatic, to the horror stories. Why is that? Well, because in the old time this was an advantage. Imagine while we were still living in the jungle and running around with tigers, it was actually very, very important to spot a tiger, or let's say a negative story, and not missing it. That's one reason why our brain is like shifting and has a tendency to be attracted by the negative stories. So that is really the base to better understand what is going on at the moment with the coronavirus situation and why everybody is like so emotional around it. The brain loves stories. Now, what does the brain not love? The brain doesn't love crisis. Let's focus on the three main sections in our life where we facing problems or challenges. That's money, health, and the last one, the most beautiful one, love. So these are the three main pillars, or let's say sections, where we are facing challenges or problems. Now, the mind likes challenges. Let's assume that in these areas we have like bigger and smaller challenges, and this is when we get activated. We think like, okay, what can we do? How can we get more money? How can we improve our health? Like, how can we like change our relationship? So that's a mode where the brain is still working in a constructive way. Now, it becomes interesting if one of these sections gets in a dramatic change. Let's say one of the three sections is actually at risk. Now, unfortunately, we're not only having a threat of our health, but the whole lockdown on a global scale is actually also threatening our resources. So what we are confronted at the moment is that two of these sections are at high risk. So the stress response goes up, the cortisol goes up, we're getting in a mode of fight or flight, or I would say freeze or overreaction, and that's definitely not a good situation or a good start to face a crisis. It's important also for the whole discussion in society to understand that this switch into an emergency mode is automatic. Okay, so having said that, what can we do then? What can we do when we face a situation like Corona and it fucks up our mind? Well, there are a lot of things we can do. The first thing is we have a choice of what we are focusing on. Focus on what helps you. Ask yourself the question, today, what would help me? What would lift me up than rather drag me down? Like a long phone call with my friends, cooking at home, maybe a new recipe, going for a walk if you're allowed to by yourself. Maybe you want to read a book or watch a movie, probably already did that. So what about cleaning the house? Anyhow, you wanted to do that for a long time. Like, think about things that you can do by yourself that calm you down and that make you feel confident and distracted from all this negative input that you have. Like, give your mind a break. So, what's the conclusion that I want to have as a takeaway? First of all, our mind loves stories, and especially stories that are not true and that are horrific or dangerous or scary. So These stories are triggered automatically. Like we hear the story and we get a stress response, and that is a negative effect on our immune system. But, and here comes the good news, what can you do? You can change your focus, you can ask yourself what helps you, what calms you down, like how can you relax your system in order to boost actually your defense against the virus, and also maybe find concrete actions you can do to face the challenges that you are having at work or at home with the whole economic downturn. And first of all, last of all, you don't have to start big. I'm curious to hear what you think. I'm curious to hear what your tactics are. Thanks for sharing. I think it's very, very important that we spread a message of possibilities and how we can react with this special situation and not just get paralyzed and full of fear, and that we are like not having the trust that somehow we will get through. I know we will. I know we will do it together, and I'm looking forward to it together with you. Stay safe, all the best, and see you next time. Thank you.